Open Meetings Act. I would like to offer a special welcome to our guests. Thank you for joining us. You are invited to address the board during the public comment portion of the agenda. However, we do ask that you sign up to do so. Sign up is over here where Jackie is. The online link is closed, but you can sign up with Jackie, and that is item number 4 on the agenda. Board members, you have access to the board packet on the board drive, and as a reminder, any board member could take anything from consent and bring it down to the regular agenda. And as part of the board's ongoing leadership development, I've asked our Vice President, Ben, to lead us through the remainder of today's meeting.
Good evening, board members and everyone else. Next, we're going to approve the regular agenda for the meeting. Are there any adjustments to the agenda as posted?
Yeah, I do have one, Ben. I would like to, as part of transparency, to bring our contracts down to the under new business. I know that our Financial Operations Committee has already reviewed our contracts, but I do also want to discuss them individually if we can.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda, or to move item D with contracts out of consent and as part of new business. Got Richard? David? All in favor? That's everybody. Motion passes. We will move item 3D contracts down to new as part of new business. On to agenda item 4, public comment. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate your time and commitment. Our community shows by participating in our meetings. Your voices matter. And this portion of the agenda gives everyone the opportunity to share their thoughts with the board. Before we begin, let's review a few important expectations. Now, this is a public meeting. It is not a public debate. It is not an open forum. We ask that everyone share their comments respectfully so that all voices can be heard. Outbursts, clapping, cheering, other disruptions, those do make it difficult for everyone to be heard and for the meeting to proceed in an orderly manner. Now, to all of our guests, you have the right to address the board on any item on the agenda before it is considered or on any other area of concern. However, in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the board cannot and does not deliberate or take action on items that are not listed on a properly posted agenda. The board chair may refer certain matters to the superintendent for review or can place them on a future agenda for formal discussion. This is your opportunity to address the board, but public comment is not a question and answer session. Those who have signed up in advance will have the opportunity to speak this evening. When you speak, please introduce yourself, describe your connection to NYOS. At this time, we have 9 or 11.
Jackie, do you have? I see 4 added to the list.
About 15 guests signed up to speak. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes. Nina is going to serve as our timekeeper. She will display signs to let you know when your time has ended. I believe we'll have the clock up here to help you. Now, guys, the board listens carefully. Every comment is taken into consideration, even if you do not get an immediate response. Thank you for your cooperation. We are ready to begin, and you can use the podium here. Our first speaker is Grant. Grant, are you here? All right, I'll call that out at the end. Give him another chance. Our next speaker is Jack. Jack, are you here? I'll call that one more time at the end. Next would be Elizabeth Zimmerman. I can hear you.
Check, check, check.
Switch. You want to give me that? Thank you. Okay. All right. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Zimmerman, parent of 2 NYOS students. I'd like to propose something that may sound a little old school, but is actually very forward thinking. What if NYOS became a no one-to-one device school for elementary and potentially middle school, with a return to shared computer labs? Many of us remember that model. Computer labs were intentional. You used them for a purpose and it worked. After COVID, schools shifted to putting a screen in front of every child most of the day, every day. And now we're seeing the trade-offs. Research shows increased classroom screen time does not improve learning and can reduce comprehension and focus. Pediatric experts also have raised concerns about its impact on attention and development. Teachers are seeing this firsthand, declines in fine motor skills, handwriting, and sustained attention. And we've already seen what happens when screens are reduced. With phone limits, students are more engaged, more present, talking to each other again. That alone should tell us something. This shift to one-to-one devices wasn't driven by proven outcomes. It was largely driven by COVID funding and online testing. And now we're stuck in that model. There's also a new layer, AI. Constant device access makes it easy for students, especially younger ones, to shortcut thinking instead of developing it. Now, I understand there may be hesitation. Schools have invested heavily, but we can't fall into the sunk cost fallacy, continuing something just because we've already spent a lot of money on it, especially when the costs are ongoing. This is an opportunity for NYOS to lead. No one-to-one Chromebooks in elementary, limited use in middle school, return to shared labs for purposeful instruction. Technology definitely does still have a place, but as a tool, not the environment. More writing, reading, collaboration, more focus. And if NYOS stands for Not Your Ordinary School, this is exactly the kind of decision that proves it. Not behind, ahead. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Ms.
you, Ms.
Zimmerman.
Zimmerman.
Next, Samantha White, please.
You know me. Hi, my name is Samantha White, and I teach geometry here. I'm here to talk about educational technology as well, and I'm the numbers guy, so I'm bringing my numbers with me. If I could have every adult in the room tell me really quickly, what is 9 squared? Thank you. Now, can you tell me what the square root of 81 is? Thank you. 53% of my 9th and 10th grade geometry students cannot perform those 6th grade calculations reliably, even with a calculator, or demonstrate knowledge that those two operations are related. That's a problem, and I think I have a solution. The NCES, also, I actually have an image that was supposed to be up here at this time, but we'll see. The NCES is a government agency that has been evaluating student performance since about 1990. On the screen, it was supposed to be on the screen, maybe we'll show it after, is a graph of the performance of 8th graders in basic number properties and operations. It will show, if you see it, the national average, Texas, our neighbor Oklahoma, and my home state of Michigan. When schools began adopting one-to-one tech in about 2011, which is that vertical bar on the image that you can't see right now, performance dropped almost immediately, with one exception, the top line on the graph, the Department of Defense. And guess what the DoD only started rolling out in 2024? I am removing Chromebooks from my class for Q4, and they won't be back. When I announced this, all my students thanked me, except 2. One likes math so much that paper homework is too finite, which, like, fine, I'm not complaining, but the other kid is simply so attached to his Chromebook that he has threatened suicide in an attempt to convince me to allow him to have it during class anyway. I am running out of time, but I want to make sure you know that this entire school is full of educated and talented people. We do not have our hard-earned degrees just to be spoken over and ignored by administrators who want to push a specific and far too rigid curriculum, which, by the way, is what happened last year. We want the autonomy that this school promised us. We did not sign up to play second fiddle to a computer system, and I can't sit here and watch our kids be set up to fail. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Next up, we have...
I want to add that the board does have it, and I was looking at it.
Okay, well, can they see it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Sorry.
I will show people on Facebook later. Thank you.
The next will be, is it Elizabeth? E. Casabon. I know you.
My name is E. Casamon, and I'm a student here at NYOS. I'm in 10th grade. I was issued a parking violation on March 30th for parking at NYOS without a NYOS-specific parking pass. I've been driving myself to school and parking on campus since the beginning of the school year and parking in the disabled spot right outside of B building with no issues. I was issued a warning even though I was given express permission by Mr. Elder and Ms. Sanderson that as long as I parked in a disabled spot with a disabled parking pass, which I have the disabled license plates, I would be good to park there. Due to the nature of my disability, I'm physically unable to park anywhere else because I need the extra space to get my chair into and out of my car. I do not park in student parking because I have to leave campus early every B day to attend physical therapy, which I was given a free period and express permission to do that. With that said, a disabled person, student or otherwise, receiving a parking warning for parking in a disabled spot with a disabled pass is frankly ableist and discourages diversity at NYOS. Being a paraplegic in high school and living in a world that isn't built for people like me is already difficult enough. I shouldn't have to deal with worrying that if I'm going to get a ticket, have my car towed or booted at my expense on top of that. I would also like to add that the very next day, a car was parked in the same accessible spot that I was in, and I got a ticket in with no disabled placard or license plates, and they were parked there all day and didn't receive any violations. I would really appreciate it if someone ensured that this does not happen again to me or any future disabled people for the sake of diversity at NYOS. Thank you.
Thank you, E. Mark Garcia, please.
All right. Good evening. My name is Mark Garcia, and I am a NYOS parent. In the past 2 years, the school has lost teachers, administrators, and a measure of trust that took years to build. Now, with the superintendent stepping down, we are at a crossroads. What happens next will define NYOS for a generation of students, including my own. I'm here to tell you that the NYOS parent community is organizing not against this board, but in support of it. A group of us has built a structured campaign to collect honest, anonymous input from families and educators across every grade level. We're asking what people value about NYOS, what has concerned them, and most importantly, what they want to see in the school's next leader. Here's our timeline. Over the next few weeks, we will be gathering anonymous survey response from NYOS families, confidential input from current and former staff. In the weeks that follow, we'll analyze that. We'll identify themes and draft a formal document. By late May, before Dr. Rosas departs and before key transition decisions are finalized, we will deliver that document to each of you personally. It will be well organized by theme, backed by data and potentially hundreds of families, and written to be constructive and not combative. We are also providing a confidential way for current and former teachers to contribute. Many of them who want to speak up, some afraid to. That alone should tell you, this board, something important. We do this because we believe we need to hear from us, not as individual voices in a Facebook group, but as an organized community with shared expectations. And we believe this board wants that input even when it's hard to hear. NYOS is worth fighting for. We want to fight for it alongside you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Kendra McGee.
Good evening, NYOS board members. I'm Kendra McGee, former middle school assistant principal. I'm here to address some questions that I've been getting from the community about my unjust termination and the level 3 hearing. For the record, I was not fired for misconduct. I did not violate school policy. I did not misrepresent my credentials, nor have there ever been any allegations against me of inappropriate behavior. According to Ms. Edwards, I was fired for not being on duty at 7:30, 2 days out of 3. That then evolved into attendance, then performance, and ultimately into conflicts Edwards claimed she noticed early on and wanted to change. Sadly, during my hearing, not one board member asked Ms. Edwards or Dr. Rosa to clarify what those conflicts were. Again, conflicts, not performance concerns, but conflicts. That became a part of the justification that there were no questions about proof, documentation, and support for those claims. I had a box of evidence to support the statements I made, yet not one board member asked to see them, which leads me to believe that truth wasn't a priority. So because of the inaccurate statements and unverified claims, I asked for the official record to be corrected. NYOS refused, so no settlement. As I am happy for this community, I'm also hurt more than ever. For the last 2 years, Dr. Rosa has taken a wrecking ball to this community. Concerns about racism and discriminatory practices, recommending someone with known antithetical views to NYOS, fumbling major decisions, appearing to protect individuals with serious allegations, and creating an overall environment of fear and intimidation. And after all the harm that Dr. Rosa has inflicted on this community, Dr. Rosa and others were given the luxury of retiring or resigning with their salaries, and I'm sure a great reference. Meanwhile, I'm fired, escorted off campus, and threatened with escalation by Dr. Rosa. I lost a lot for doing very little. Talk about unequal treatment. And so yes, I am still hurt by all of this. I carry this experience with me everywhere I go. It is a painful reminder of the disparities that still exist in this world, where some people are treated better despite their shortcomings because of the absence of melanin in their skin tone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGee. Christine Derbyshire.
Hi, my name is Christine Derbyshire. Everyone calls me Derby on campus. I'm the 9th grade English teacher, and I'm the mother of 2. This is Julia. She's 4 years old. I have a son named Charlie who's 2. She does not come here right now because even though I would love to send her here and be with her all day, I am too afraid of the screen time that kids are allowed on campus. I am not the only parent who feels this way, and I'm not the only parent who has kids at home who could be enrolled here. And it's my understanding we need enrollment. So I have some questions. How much money are we spending on platforms that students are using all day? I've heard from other parents that their kids come home and they're not old enough to lie yet, and they say, oh, well, we watched a video of a teacher doing this thing. Our teacher put on a video of someone teaching us. And teachers, they want to teach. They want to be with kids. I'm a 9th grade teacher, and so I have the autonomy in this lovely school that I love to work at to take Chromebooks out of my classroom. And so I ask my kids how much they're on their screens, and they'll tell us. And I'm really proud to say that they're on their Chromebooks less in ELA for 9th grade compared to other classes. But I know we also have more freedom sometimes in ELA. We can write our own curriculum and things like that. We're not given Amplify, we're not given iExcel, iReady, et cetera. So next year we're really excited because we're thinking about, well, how can we maybe build a curriculum without computers? And I think that would be the edge for NYOS, just like Zimmerman was saying. Why won't that be our edge? So we can say we offer a curriculum with humans and not computers. Then I would send my kids here.
Thank you, Ms. Derbyshire. Lisa Soester.
My name is Lisa Soester, and I'm a parent to 3 NYOS students. Many of us share a growing concern. Our school is increasingly governed by closed systems that don't necessarily reflect the people they're meant to serve. Our community used to elect our board members. Now the board elects itself. Committees are either composed of board members or hand-selected by the superintendent. The role and influence of DSS has continued to expand. From private conversations to these public meetings, one message keeps coming up. Our culture and values are eroding, and our community no longer feels heard. Please give us a voice in decisions that affect our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Kelly Huff.
Good evening, I'm Kelly Huff. I am a 15-year-long parent of NYOS students and a 4-year-long guest teacher, so I have spent a lot of time on this campus. And I'm here to address something that I spoke about at the very first board meeting of the school year. And here we are at almost the end of the school year, and I still feel like our student safety in this regard has not been given the consideration it needs to be, which is the parking lot that's right outside this building. The very first board meeting, you'll remember that many parents, many students talked about moving senior parking to the gated area between B and C was dangerous. We did get handheld stop sign for the teachers that are assigned to try to manage that chaos. I feel like it has done a little bit, but not enough, because just 2 weeks ago, my daughter was in another accident trying to leave school in this parking lot. And it wasn't a student-to-student bumper car situation that we were talking about at the beginning. It was what I've always been concerned about, which is the thoroughfare of the pickup traffic between these students that are also trying to get out because they have jobs to get to, other activities to get to, et cetera. And my daughter waited for a parent to pass by. The parent, that my daughter started to back up because she was clear. The parent then backed up into her, and we have video footage from the cameras outside showing that. It was chaos all around, and I don't think it was necessary for any of that trauma to be inflicted, not only once, but twice now. Whenever they're students, this should be a safe space for them. And even when it happened, not only did the parent disregard her, but some of the staff around didn't really take her being involved in that situation seriously. I know as a board, you're not directly involved in policy, the administration is, but as a board, it is your responsibility to hold the administration accountable, and that's what I'm asking you to do.
Thank you, Kelly. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board tonight? And while y'all consider that, last call for Grant or Jack. All right. We're going to close public comment.
I have something that we forgot to do. Consent agenda.
Oh.
So we did move contracts down, but we didn't vote on the consent agenda, which is item number 3.
Okay, members, you guys have the consent agenda items in your folder. You've had time to review them. We have the minutes from the February 10th regular board meeting, the minutes from the March 2nd special board meeting, committee reports, and we have removed contracts from item 3, the consent agenda. So can I find a motion for approving the consent agenda?
So moved.
Nina and David? All in favor of approving the consent agenda? All right, that's everyone. Okay, number 3, check. 4, check. Okay. We ready to move on to number 5, new business? Okay. Item A, discuss and vote on certification of provision of instructional materials 2026-2027 school year.
Good evening, everyone. The certification of provisional instructional materials is done each year, and this is a work that we do to make sure that we are using approved materials, and so we gather data from both elementary and secondary to reflect the certification that we will be sending in to TEA.
Members, are there any questions or discussion on Richard?
Can you hear me? I wanted to bring up sorry, I forget what it was called. Studies Weekly, the elementary curriculum. I know elementary does not have a social studies like block or period, right? I think is what I was told. It's like they're mainly kind of given like independent work. Is that basically it? Okay. Well, I wanted to bring up because this Studies Weekly seems to have all types of flaws. This Education Week article I found alone, there were several hundred issues of bias, um, ethnic insensitivities, I guess I would call it. This article is from a few years ago, and they claim they're working, but it's well known you can't just correct a curriculum and it's into the schools that very next year or whatever. I mean, I'm just like, I found this article from Education Week. In February 2018, Studies Weekly had this article, short fiction titled Cotton Pickin' Singing. The story of a white girl, Alana, and a black boy, Jackson, who were magically transported back to Georgia in the 1700s. Alana explains the history of slavery to the boy in a passage that includes several historical inaccuracies, including the false statement that white colonists didn't also enslave Native Americans. As she talks, Alana directs Jackson to pick cotton to appease the overseer. Like, that's just like one example. And it goes on and on and on. This is just one article I found just doing some very, very quick Googling. I think it's crazy. Like, I don't think Studies Weekly should be in elementary curriculum. Like,
I think if we had like up to date on the curriculum, that would be helpful. Just because like an 8-year-old article about it, I don't.
Okay, I can tell you I have had conversations with multiple social studies teachers this year, some of whom who have kids at school, and they told me flat out that it's a pretty terrible curriculum and it needs to go. So like it hasn't changed. Whether or not Studies Weekly says they're changing it, it's racist, and it clearly is not what NYOS represents, and I think it needs to go, and I hope maybe we can review this at least before we vote on at least the social studies K through 5 one, because I will be flat out and say I believe it's indoctrination.
Thank you for your feedback. The vote that you're taking tonight is what we've used this year. We work very closely with the campus principals and their teams so that we are bound by what's approved by the state. When I arrived, we had a lot of non-approved curriculums, and we've moved more to state approved because those do involve a serious review. But even within that, like you said, based upon communities, and just looking at what's best for kids, we're at the district level, we receive feedback from the principals and their teams about changes they want to make. So the vote tonight is not what we use moving forward, it's what we've used so far this year.
Oh, okay, I'm confused because it says for 26, 27.
This
Right.
year, what we've used so far.
Okay, so we're not necessarily approving it for next year.
Exactly. That's some of the work that gets done in the spring after testing ends, is we look at not only, master schedules and all those things, but we also look at what curriculum resources we're going to use for the following year.
All right, I guess I'm confused. Why are we approving this year's if we're 6 weeks out from the school year?
So the state can see that we are using approved curriculum materials. Every year, each district has to show that you are aware and that you are approving curriculum that's approved by the state.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So I guess there's no point, at least for this one, right? We have to approve it to show this is what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Can you explain again what so if I click the link for the material, it goes to, is the list for 26, 27 for approved for next year? Is that what this list is? Because it is dated for next school year.
The certification that we're approving tonight is for 26, 27 for the next year, but even certifying that, you can make changes for the following year. We have complete control over our EMAT material money, and we can change anything that does not meet our needs at any time.
Gotcha. Okay, so basically we're voting to show TEA, this is what we have been using this year. That was the confusion too. It says 26, 27.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So what you're saying is, that's what we're telling the state, but we can change it at any time.
Yes.
And we're coming back after testing to review the curriculum and then make a decision on what we're actually going to use.
Yes, if any member of our community, whether they're parents or teachers or any member of staff has a concern, they typically take it to their team lead or principals. And I know our principals take a lot of time looking at curriculum resources. And for example, if there's an example of what Richard was sharing, they go back and examine that, and they work with team leads to select a more appropriate material that's going to meet the needs of our students. And we can make those changes at any time. We
Okay.
changed out curriculum this year.
But so to be clear, unless somebody complains about something or somebody finds something better, this is what we're planning to use.
Yeah, well, not just only if someone complains. The teams are always looking at curriculum and looking at, how effective is it? We're matching it up with our student data because we make decisions if we're not happy, let's say with a math curriculum, then we use it and we say, are we getting better outcomes than what we did previously?
So can we ask the principals to maybe the next team leader meeting, bring the social studies curriculum up to the team leads, so that can be discussed?
Absolutely, they're both indicating yes.
Any further discussion? Okay, so we would be looking for a motion to ratify this certification of provision of instructional materials for 26, 27.
So moved.
We have Nina. David? Okay, all in favor of ratifying the certification of provision of instructional materials 26, 27? Hold on. Motion passes. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Item 5B, discuss and vote on HB 1707 and the HB 2 resolution. Members, you should have that resolution in your board packet as well. Do you want to go over this?
Sure.
Okay, we'll have Dr. Roses fill us in.
So HB 1702, that's what we're talking about, 1707, and HB 2 resolution passed and became effective June 12th, 2023. That required a lot of things, including that municipalities treat open enrollment charter schools the same as school districts regarding zoning, permitting, and utility service. It prohibits discriminatory fees or regulations against charter schools, requiring equal treatment for or rules applicable to public school districts. As the part of the certification, a board member and a superintendent must certify that neither they nor any person related within the third degree of consanguinity or the second degree of affinity derive any financial benefit from a real estate transaction with the charter district. Your handout is in the file.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Members, I put a nepotism chart into the board packet, so you can kind of see, you see that term a lot, third degree of consanguinity, second degree of affinity being relationship by marriage, and so that just kind of gives you an idea of what you're certifying here It goes beyond you and those in your household. These were provisions added to both HB 1707 and HB 2 as protective measures, just to show the charter school board members were above board when it comes to some of these transactions. Any questions or discussion? Okay, we'll entertain a motion to approve the board resolution. Does that have a title? Approve the resolution before you. Got a motion from Richard.
I'll second.
And a second from, I was going to give it to you. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, item 5C, discuss summary of intruder detection audit findings and district-wide corrective actions.
Thank you. Weekly exterior door sweeps are mandated by law to ensure that all doors are functioning properly and that any issues.
We haven't done contracts.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's 5D.
We can do it last. Sorry.
I thought you were telling my time was up.
Yep, time's up.
That all doors are functioning properly and there's any issues are identified and addressed promptly. During the transition of our exit of Director of Operations, complete door sweep logs were not consistently uploaded into the tracking system, although they have consistently happened every week. They just weren't loaded up into the safety system for TEA, resulting in a finding during our TEA audit. It's important to note that the finding was not an issue with door functionality or campus safety, but just rather a gap in our documentation. All required sweeps were being conducted as expected. To address this, we have implemented a revised system to ensure that all completed door sweep logs are consistently uploaded and monitored for compliance. This includes assigning both primary and backup personnel responsible for completing the sweeps, along with an internal audit process to verify accuracy and consistency.
Thank you, Dr. Rosas. Members, any questions for Dr. Rosas on this item?
Any impact to not having complied? Or is this something we found ourselves and corrected?
No, the program is called Sentinel, where we load everything, and they just do random checks periodically. And so for one of our campuses, we just had not loaded the ones that we do every single week. And so they just notified us and we uploaded them.
So no penalty or repercussions, just a thou shalt.
Yeah, no, sir.
Okay, thanks.
No further discussion? Okay, we're going to move on to the next item. Item 5D, this is going to be the contracts. We pulled this down from the consent agenda, so we'll have to vote on this, members, but the 3 contracts should be in your consent folder, in the board folder. The only contracts I remember seeing are the 3 for Austin Charter Services. Each one of them was like $1,500 to $1,700, and those are normal charges for taking a field trip. So that covers 3 field trips, cost of the coach rental. Any questions or discussion on those items?
I motion we approve the contracts.
Thank you, Hassan.
I'll second.
And Nina seconds. All in favor? Thank you, board members. The motion passes to accept the contracts portion of the consent agenda.
Yeah, I have that. Yes, so the next slide, if we could go to the, I don't see anybody up there, but I don't. Yes, so board advocacy, as always, Ben and I meet with Texas Public Charter School Association, and we are meeting with them, I think, this week, tomorrow probably. But from last week, they have updated their what do you call it, like a one-pager, and some key findings, because they've done some research. And as part of this one-pager, it's hard to read there, but charter schools, it's like a fact sheet of what charter schools have accomplished over the last 30 years, as charter schools are 30 years old now. Higher enrollment, college access for all, especially for high-need students, post-secondary completion, higher wages due to industry certificates and college degrees, career readiness, and charters have helped over 100,000 dropout recovery students graduate as well. And so TPCSA is excited to share this new data, this new information, which is great for all charters, including our very own. And so the ask from them is to help them celebrate all of the great things that charter schools are doing. And so, as always, they want us to like and comment and share and repost TPCSA. I often do that so that our name is out there as supporting charter schools all over Texas. That's all.
One of the things I learned attending some of these advocacy meetings specific to our area was that this district has like either the second or third highest percentage of like charter students living within it, which I thought was really interesting. And so when we talk about success at charter schools, this or any other success you have out there with charter schools, a lot of the times, you know, the rest of the public will associate that with you. And because, Richard, like because you're saying it, then that affects my understanding of charter schools. And so it helps spread good word on which, you know, that'll bubble up to, you know, greater flexibility, can help us with, you know, funding conversations with the legislature. So it really does ripple out when we advertise our association with the charter community. Any questions for Nina? Okay. Thank you, Nina. Item 7, superintendent update, Dr. Rosa.
Thank you, Ben. So I'm excited tonight to share all the great things that are happening. I don't think I could capture them all on just a few slides, but to celebrate on April the 1st, NYOS celebrate Paraprofessional Appreciation Day. Our paraprofessionals are the heart of our campus. They support students with patience, care, and dedication, ensuring every child feels seen, supported, and successful. Also, Elementary Field Day, April 1st and April 2nd. I think there were some somewhat muddy and rainy days in between there, but we got it in. Every year at NYOS Charter School, this elementary PE team plans and hosts a fantastic field day for all elementary students as a way to celebrate teamwork, movement, and school community. This year's theme was NYOS Circus. Many students participated in our spring break camp. Students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade engaged in focused math and reading activities designed to strengthen their skills, all while enjoying interactive and engaging experiences. Our 2nd grade students in Ms. Torres's class kicked off their plant structures and functions science unit by planting seeds. Our kindergarten students recently enjoyed a memorable field trip to the Wells Branch homestead. Students had the opportunity to explore the historic site, experience was like in the past, and engage in hands-on activities that deepen their understanding of history and community. Our elementary students have been hard at work creating and learning through art across all grade levels. They've explored new techniques and expressed their creativity. On March 6, 2026, grades 8 through 12 held its annual NYOF, Not Your Ordinary Friday, Career Fest edition. We were able to invite more than 30 community members from all sectors to speak to groups of students about their career fields, educational paths, and work experience. Students, in turn, were able to choose 4 speakers to visit based on their interests and brought thoughtful questions. Programmers, construction managers, race car mechanics, nurses, day traders, and graphic designers all volunteered to present, and in many cases provide hands-on activities related to their everyday jobs. Secondary science highlights. UT Seek is an engineering program that partners current UT students with NYOS middle school students to explore career opportunities in STEM. I want to highlight some events that are upcoming. You can see we have a Jaguar Kindergarten Jumpstart, NYOS Spirit Night on April 17th, Spring Open House for prospective families on April the 30th, Teacher Appreciation Week, May 4th through the 8th, Elementary Early Release Day for end-of-year conferences. As you guys may remember from the last board meeting, we shifted that a little bit to make sure that parents who are having to take off work for multiple days, it would accommodate better than what we had on the schedule. And then I can't see the last 2 very well. Graduation. If you want information on graduation, we'll send you the flyer. And then also the last day of school and conferences for high school as well. I'm going to turn the speaker over to Matthew, who's going to come to the center podium and talk about staffing.
Good evening. Yeah, so staffing. Attendance is holding steady. We're at 96.76%. We do have 17 vacancies. We're getting prepped for the next school year. So that number is going up. Staff count's holding steady at 227. I did shift our fill rates for substitutes to monthly versus like the week prior as we had been doing. And so for the month of March, elementary was at 76.56 and secondary was at 70.69. Retention, we did have a decrease from 87.55 to 86.15. Teacher retention, also a slight decrease from 95.24 to 94.63. And for Hassan, last year, this time, district retention was 86.83% and teacher retention was at 93.1%.
The attendance rate, is that for March, year to date?
It's year to date.
Year to date, thank you.
Through the end of March.
Thank you.
And we had a 2-week spring break, so that's why it didn't really move a lot.
Thank you, Matthew. So some of the research, consistently working with all the departments, but when working with human resources and also with Paul, our data fellow, one of the things that I really wanted to look at is our teacher experience. And so I want to share with you guys tonight. I was able to share with the Family Leadership Council last week and wanted to share with the board tonight some new slides that I had. We dug back through the data to look at years of experience and how that has changed over time. On these slides, you're looking at the entire teaching community. And so what you can see is that 21-22, just coming out of COVID, that we had 59% of our teachers with 0 to 4 years, and teachers 5 to 9 years were 17.9%, and then 10 plus years, 23.44%, almost a quarter of our teachers. Post-COVID, this year, 25-26, 82.6% of our teachers are 0 to 4 years. 5 to 9 years is 7.25%, and the master teachers 10 above years, 10.14%. This is not unique to NYOS. This is a national and a statewide issue, and I have data that's more broad that I'm happy to share with you guys if you want. And then I wanted to look a little further at elementary, and so I won't read all of the numbers off to you, but what we have on this slide is pre-COVID, coming out of COVID, and currently. And what you can just see from the pie shapes is that more increasingly we're receiving newer teachers, and we know that across, again, the state and nation, a lot of our 10 plus people are leaving education or retiring, and then you have that middle field. I also wanted to break it out and look at middle school and high school a little differently, or not look differently, but look at them as individual groups. And so you can see pre-COVID, a balanced graph there, and then coming out of COVID and currently today. And the same thing in high school. So you see that we had 50% originally before COVID of our teachers were 0 to 4, and then the rest of it was almost equally distributed, 5 to 9 years and 10 years. And then post-COVID, how that changed over time, and then where we are today. Before I move on, are there any questions or comments about this data?
Dr. Rosas, when we were looking at this slide with the whole school, and we're looking at that 10 plus gap, and there's 15 around, COVID immediately after, and then 14 now. That's not a very big number. Do we know who they are? Are those people that were 5 to 9 and moved up, and we lost some 10 plus? Did we retain all but one 10 plus? Do you see what I'm saying? That's obviously a group that we would need to invest in and protect and can help us with those earlier 0 to 4s, right? Do we know anything about who those 14 or 15 are?
We track them, and I can actually add that information. And as with most data, it just begets more questions and more data. So I've already asked Paul to look at student performance connected with this also, to see how it interplays, but we also can report on and provide who exactly are, did people move out of one category into another? Are they different people altogether?
Do we have, or can we do a comparison against other charters and ISDs to understand, is this a NYOS trend, a charter trend, an ISD trend?
I did pull some TAPER reports to look at our region. I can pull to look at a specific campus. It'll be a little delayed because usually TAPER is a year in reverse. So yes, we can track that very closely. It's more difficult to get districts to turn over their internal data.
And when I'm looking at that first slide, I mean, we have essentially flat in the 5 to 9 group, essentially flat in the 10 plus group, and it's the 0 to 4 group that surged from 38 to 114. But those are all obviously the new, during the expansion, it looks like that's the type of educator we were able to recruit to expand rapidly. I guess it happened, 1 year.
And I think you would see that to be true of a lot of districts. I think once we dig in deeper, what we're going to find is that we're retaining higher than other districts, and it may not feel that way, but I think that's what we're going to find. And we also need to split out and look at certified versus uncertified. But the bottom line is not, the reason I wanted to show the data was not to create alarm or a negative feeling, but just we do believe in teacher autonomy and making sure that we are providing the supports that those teachers need in whatever category they are in, but recognizing that the makeup of the school, the teaching body has changed. So we need to make sure as administrators and support people that we're supporting teachers with what they need. All right, so next I'm going to invite up Dr. Pesta. There were a lot of questions at the last board meeting about electives in public comment, and we're trying to make sure that we're being responsive to what people want to hear about. We're having some microphone problems down on the floor. Cody says it's working now.
Hello, there we go. All right, good evening, members of the board, Dr. Rosa. I am so excited to be able to showcase our electives teachers, and their faces are really big right now, because we have a small but mighty electives team, and I would also like to add in that they supported the field day immensely. Every single one of them stood out in the rain for a whole day, and then in the scorching sun an entire day for our kiddos, so I'm super grateful for all of them. So that is our entire electives team up there, and as we kind of go through, I'll introduce who they are on the next couple slides. So elementary is fortunate enough to have many, many electives. We have a SEL teacher, Miss Ayala, and she uses a curriculum that is a social emotional learning curriculum. So she has standards and things that she teaches, and so that's that first section right there. If your child is not having SEL that week, they're having Spanish with Miss Arguello, and she also has a new Spanish curriculum that she started using these last couple years. And next. We also have music and theater is new this year. So if your child did not have music the first semester, they had theater. Music is run by Mr. Donahue, and theater is by Miss B. Both of them are masters in their content area for sure, and I'm sure you've heard about it if you have kids in theater. Library and art are the last two I think the last two on here. Library is with Miss McGinn and Miss Andy, and they have big groups of kiddos. You can see in that one bottom picture. We actually send 2 classes to electives or to library at a time so that our kids get library every 4 days. We want to make sure that they have access to books and literature. And then art, we have 2 art teachers, Miss Laporte and Miss Shelley, and you'll hear upstairs art and downstairs art. And so they will get art again every 4 days. If they are, and depending on which teacher they have, it doesn't matter. They'll still have art every 4 days. Oh, and then of course PE. I had to put pictures of the parachute because that's like the most memorable thing in school. And then using the scooters, which is also on there. So our PE coaches, Coach Simica, Coach Aaron, and Coach Cora are our 3 PE coaches, and your children get PE every other day. So we make sure that they are very active. And there's a lot of different pictures up here of different grade levels, different games they play. And we are very lucky that they're super creative and flexible and think out of the box when we need to pivot and move out to the field, or it's raining, or whatever it may be. So we're really very fortunate to have them. And off to Ms. Edwards.
Hi, everybody. We have a lot of electives, and so inside of the notes, I'm gonna drop this link so that everyone can see all of them. And I'll start by saying that this year, we, with the parents, elected to move 8th grade for next year back into the middle school. So that gave us more options for electives for our middle school. So this year, currently, the 6th graders have tech apps and PE, so they have those as their options. And then 7th grade has art, tech apps, and PE. This year, the 8th graders were able to have 5 different choices, which include Spanish 1, ASL 1, theater 08. Next year, the changeover will be that 7th grade will actually have more options for electives, so they'll have MS Art, tech apps, Spanish, PE, and then some of the 7th graders who reached out about the theater class will actually be able to take that course. For the 8th graders, they'll have MS1 Art, MS2 Art, Principles of Art and AV, computer science, PE, MS Spanish, and then that theater class, there'll be 2 sections of theater, so it'll be a mixed. Now on to high school. High school has a long list of electives, and what I'll do is just highlight a few of the new ones. So something that is coming to our high school is Principles of Business, Marketing, and Finance. I'm really, really excited about what this class will be able to really help kids to be able to think through their future. We have been able to add additional Spanish 3 courses for our kiddos, additional ASL 3 courses for our kiddos. We also have added Music and Theater Appreciation, which will act as dual credit assignments, so they'll be partnered with ACC in order to get kids some of the credits that they want to take, and then they can reduce the class load when they go to college. We also have our computer science programming, and generally that's one of the pathways for our CTE program. So kids who go through that program have the ability to receive an endorsement, and in some cases take industry certifications like Python, which just sets them up for more options as they go out into the world. So if you are interested in seeing the whole list, because it's pretty long, I will post it inside of the notes and everything so everybody has it, so you can see all of the options for kiddos.
Ms. Edwards, we have all
Yeah,
of
I
it.
gave it to the board.
Oh, okay, great.
Ms. Edwards, you're going to send that list to all of your families as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to say that this elective list is like really impressive.
I know.
Like,
Beautiful.
this list of electives for such a small
I know.
Any questions for Dr. Rosas after the superintendent update? I keep saying Rosas.
Oh, I have one, sorry. Just to go back to Career Fest, I want to thank Ben because he came to my class to do it. So thanks. I think the kids really liked
Where's
it.
his picture? Where's his picture?
It's okay.
That's great.
We
Thanks,
had
Ben.
some folks not be able to show up. A lot of kids ended up in my section that didn't sign up for my section, so sorry, E. Yeah. So, item 8, committee business. We'll hit the governance committee. Members, I apologize. There's not a governance committee report in your folders. That's on me. We had about a 10 to 12 minute meeting. The only things we covered was HB 1707 and HB 2. We just quickly discussed consanguinity, affinity, and where those things came from. If y'all have any questions, but we did already approve that resolution, so. Okay. And that concludes the governance committee report.
Okay. Next is Academic Oversight Committee. Today let me see. Jessica is not here. She usually does this, as y'all know. This is, as always, we're looking at AOC. What does success look like for the goal area, which this time we're looking at CCMR. How well are we doing against our goal? Are we on track? Why? and what are we doing in response. And so the first slide I have here is the multiple pathways. I believe I may need some help from our principal on this, but multiple pathways that each student can get their CCMR, and I learned that even if a student has several of these indicators, they only count one time as meeting that requirement. And so, right, okay. Next is the data, where we have lags by, I learned that we have a lag by a year, so that's not unique to us, but it's also due to delayed reporting of SAT and I think some other indicators. But the current reporting reflects prior graduating class, and the projections are used to estimate that current performance. And as you can see, for the class of 2025, our goal is 87, but it looks like we are projecting 95 based on the internal data, which I believe is subject to change as well, which is great, I think. Okay, and next you'll see, yeah.
For either year, and that's on a lag, right?
It's on a lag.
A 1 year lag?
1 year lag. And then this, is interesting, and we've learned even through public comment today, the gap that we have in math readiness. This shows why we must focus on math district-wide, and these are SAT readings, and you can see the differences here, noting that SAT reflects long-term learning, right? And so we definitely have some work to do there. And then these slides show the pathways that students have to meet the CCMR, the college prep courses and the dual credit. And so on the left, you'll see the college prep enrollment, and on the right is the dual credit participation, which shows how more students are accessing college level coursework while still in high school, which is great. But it's important to note that the college prep pathway is going away. It's being phased out for next year. So that means that we need to rely more heavily on stronger academic readiness, particularly in math, as we saw, and expanded dual credit opportunities moving forward. I think that's right. Okay. And I believe this is some other ways that our students can, other pathways for students to succeed. Oh, yeah.
Putting you on the spot. What is earning an IBC? Sorry, what was the question? The green dot on the right graph says earning an IBC.
That's an industry-based certification, so taking courses.
I had the same question, Sarah, and then I looked up and I was like, industry-based certification. Okay, anyway. Yeah.
I think we've all seen in the media, industry-based certifications are really fantastic. A lot of people who are doing air conditioning work, running electricity, those kinds of things, can really provide a great income for themselves and their families. And so dual credit, CTE completers, all those things are really options for our students and for them to make informed choices based upon their interests and where they are academically.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. And then this is how we are responding to the data, what the district is prioritizing with it, which is strengthening the math outcomes, expanding dual credit opportunities, and increased access to industry-based certifications, or IBC.
Yep. I just want to add on, for those parents who are watching or here tonight, if you have secondary students, I would really encourage you to find time to meet with Ms. Edwards or somebody from the team to talk about our pathways. We're really excited about robotics and business, and these are great opportunities, to really put students in a position to be able to find work that is great for them in this area based upon the needs of the city. So we're really excited about these pathways. So it would be great for you to connect and ask any questions that you have about the pathways.
Any questions for Nina? Who all is on the academic oversight? We have Jessica, who's not here, Richard.
Me and Sarah.
Yeah.
And Dr. Rosa.
That committee is underrated. We don't cover it as much. Like, we don't get to spend as much time on it as we'd
Yeah.
like to, but I appreciate the work y'all do. So thanks. The next committee that we have is the compensation committee.
I think that's me again.
Yes.
Yes, so we did meet last week to begin the review of teacher and staff compensation. The committee reviewed our current compensation scale. We compared it to other compensation structures from similarly sized schools, and then discussed benefits as well. We established this meeting focused on establishing a baseline understanding and identifying key areas for further analysis as we work the progress. And so moving forward, we will continue to analyze, as always, with a focus on aligning compensation with the school's budget, ensuring any recommendations are both competitive and financially sustainable. We will be meeting again in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Nina. And FOC.
Okay, so there we go. Okay, key points on that slide is our enrollment is up a little bit, and keep in mind you're looking at February data. So we're up a little bit, slightly behind budget. The attendance is down below what we like to be at, but as Matthew showed, we're over 96% year to date. And then on the wait list, it's declining slightly since we are going through trying to fill the remaining spots that are open. Going on to the next one, key items are our cash is up, so we're up a couple of days cash on hand, not back where we were at the beginning of the year. But since most of our expenses are at the beginning of the school year, we buy equipment, do things like that. So we're now catching up with the cash coming in, and that's going up. We have over $4 million in cash. I'm not sure how many other charters are in that good a financial position. And the cash growing. So one of the other key metrics we look at is the debt service coverage ratio, which is at 129, and the requirement is 1.1. So that puts us in a good financial position. We're right now renegotiating, we're refinancing a loan that was scheduled to be refinanced in July. And so having solid financials certainly helps in us getting a good rate on that. I haven't seen the rates yet, but we're making progress, so we should be able to get that done by July. Debt service coverage ratio.
It's like such a big deal, and the fact that the ratio was so low was really concerning. It was causing major problems to the school, and so I think that's something that really should be celebrated. That in the last year we made like huge progress on that, and it's allowed us to refinance that loan that needed to be refinanced.
Yeah, and to be clear, right, that's on the administration, not the board, right? We're oversight, right? So it's that getting static here is working to make sure that, you know, the expenditures are consistent. We're trying to figure out where we can save money and where we need to spend it.
Mark or Richard, are either of y'all on FOC? So, I mean, the balloon payment was the thing that we were so scared of. I don't know if Mark's gotten a chance to be brought up to speed, but like what that debt service ratio, like why we were so concerned about that. Like we had a goal to, if you just wanted to run through that really quickly.
Well, I mean, you need a certain debt service coverage ratio to, one, refinance it all, and then two, the better your financials, the lower rate you get. And the lower rate you get, the less money we spend on interest and can spend on other things, right? And when you're refinancing $1 million, right, every percent is a lot of money every year, right? So that's why it's very important that, you know, we have that in line. And it's not just the administration, right? It's also DSS. And I don't know why DSS seems to be something to be afraid of. CPA firm that specializes in accounting and finance for charter schools and other public schools. So other schools do is invaluable, right? So we're not just looking at ourselves and we see numbers, but we can compare against industry. They're the ones that brought in certain financing arms of companies at where do we need to get more.
Yeah. Any questions for FOC? Robust number conversation. Do we have a fundraising committee update?
We still have some things in
Oh, that's
FOC
right.
that we need to vote on.
So-
Speaking of DSS, they may be on the line.
Thank you. Got in a hurry.
So for the 25-26 NYOS budget amendment, I believe that Matthew May will come up and speak, or is Diane going to speak? She's online. Diane, can you hear us? 1 minute from technology. While we're waiting, I'm going to add my 2 cents about DSS for anybody who's hearing about DSS tonight in public comments and other places. We chose to, when I arrived, we were working with DSS, and we chose to continue working with them. In small charters across the state, it's very hard to get the level of expertise that a district would need for the cost of, like, let's say, one person's salary. And so currently DSS supports us as the CFO and also with work on our budget and the amendment we're about to make to the budget. And you wouldn't get that from an employee. You just can't afford, NYOS can't afford the level of expertise that you want. So whether it's DSS or another company, having fractional financial support is always going to be important for the health. And I think the proof is in the pudding. When you look at our finances today as compared to 2 years ago, it's because of their expertise and us following their expertise. You know, when they give us advice, they don't tell us what to do, but listening closely and doing the things that are going to make us healthier have made all the difference. So I'm really grateful for their support. Cody, do we have Diane online now? Yes? Good evening, Diane. Maybe she can't hear me all the way from Dallas. Diane, can you hear us?
You're cutting in and out.
Okay, we got you now, so go ahead. We're ready to hear about the budget amendment.
Okay. Tonight, we are bringing an amendment to the board for approval. And the reason we're doing this is the law requires that the board adopt a budget at the function level. And so the functions are defined by the state. And anytime you make adjustments between the functions or anything that impacts a function level within the budget, you have to have board approval. And so tonight, we're just bringing an amendment to you. Basically, we're going to adjust the revenues for some additional EMAT money we got from the state. And EMAT is the money we get for curriculum and instructional materials. So we're adjusting the revenues $90,735. And then we got several notice of grant awards for federal revenues. Typically, when we approve the budget, we just use it based on our planning estimates. But those can change based on any funds that you have rollover from the prior year. So all we're doing is just adjusting the federal revenues to match those final notice of grant awards. The other adjustments in the document that I provided, down at the very bottom, it kind of spells out what all of those changes are. So overall, we're increasing revenues 105,964. We're also increasing expenditures by the same exact amount. But then there are some function levels where we are moving some budget because we have some shortages. When we put the budget together, of course, we do it on the compensation, a projected compensation amount. But those, when actual people are hired and final salaries are in, sometimes we just have to shift budget between functions for compensation. So some of these adjustments are just doing that. And then we also have a few other items, such as our Sharp printers were a little bit more than what we had budgeted in that function. So we're moving some budget to cover for those printers. And then just shifting some money between functions to help cover some of our legal fees are a little bit more than what we had budgeted. So that is kind of an overview of the adjustments that we're making tonight. Any questions?
Is Diane still online? Can she
Yes.
respond to why the depreciation has increased?
Yes, we have added capital outlay during the fiscal year that has increased the depreciation. We've added computers. We've had some work done on the playgrounds. Just going off the top of my head, I can't remember. We've had several capital outlay purchases during the fiscal year, and so that increases the depreciation.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Diane while we have her? Okay, so the amended budget is on the website. It was also posted physically in 2 places at campus in accordance with the new law that we talked about at the beginning of the year. So great job, admin, staying in compliance with that. The motion before us would be to vote on the 25-26 budget amendment. Can I? Hassan and Richard, second. All in favor? The motion passes unanimously. Good job, board. Now we will discuss and vote on our Form 990 as a nonprofit for fiscal year 2024.
Yes. So the Form 990 is a tax-exempt form for tax-exempt organizations. It provides the IRS with information required by Section 6033.
Board members, that Form 990 draft was in your folder. Any questions?
And this is also a public document that gets published on our website, on other websites you can find.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to approve Form 990 for fiscal year 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Hassan.
Second.
Thank you, Nina. All in favor? Unanimous passage. Thank you very much. All right, thank you to the work from the FOC. Next will be fundraising committee.
Yes, thank you. So we had several fundraisers in March. We had an event at Consuela, and we raised almost $500 there. We had the golf tournament, where once you subtract out any costs, we raised $26,132.20. Unfortunately, there was tremendous rain that day, so very few golfers actually played golf, but many of our fantastic vendors who sponsored the golf tournament elected just to leave all the money with us and not take their money back, which was great. We had a golf silent auction, which raised $2,691.88. I know I put my name down for a few and they were very quickly outbid, so that was great. We also had March donations, including Amplify Austin, in the amount of $8,758.59. So our March total for fundraising is $38,073.83, and our current year fundraising and donations, not counting competitive grants, is $86,922.82. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Blanca Martinez, who does a lot of our communications, and she also leads a lot of our fundraising, and she does such an outstanding job, and we really appreciate her work.
Members, any questions for fundraising? Okay, nominations committee, David.
Oh, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it, I don't think.
Sorry, you got me. Okay, yeah, so the nominations committee met last week to discuss the next step. Now that we've been advertising, collecting nominees, we discussed prompts for the nominee bios, which will be sent out to those people who have expressed interest, so that they can provide some information towards the board before our elections. And then we also explored some options for the election procedure, and we discussed through those. No decisions were made there. We're going to explore some more options there in depth and come back at our next meeting to discuss those.
How many positions are open and what are they?
We've got, we have a secondary teacher available. We have elementary teacher position. All of our community representatives are up for re-election as well. So we have basically an area in each open for nominations. So, and we are still taking applications, nominations.
Yeah, and I do want to add that, you know, we've had some comments about how the board elects our board, and the board does elect the board members. And that is common in nonprofits, that's common in charter schools. As you know, ISDs run for election, right? And they have constituents, and this board does not do that. We look at the board as, or the school as a whole. We don't have, looking at best practices, and this is the best practice for charter schools and nonprofits. So we've had some concerns about that and how things have been done in the past, but I have done some research. So just that's what's in our, that's how we do things.
Any other questions for David? Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on to item 9, executive session. The school board will meet in executive session in accordance with Texas Governance Code section 551.074 regarding personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. The board will now convene an executive session to discuss the superintendent's retirement and related personnel matters. Do we need to take anything with us? I don't think
no.
So. Right. So you can leave your things. We can.
And then just say the time.
Yeah, we will. If anybody needs to take a bio break or something on the way. But we will go into executive session. The time is 7:26. Okay, the time is now 8:42. We have a quorum present, and the board now convenes into open session. Time is now 8:42. Let the record reflect that no action took place in closed session. The board will now consider the formation of a committee to support the leadership transition. In the executive session, the board also accepted the resignation of Superintendent Michelle Rosa. Members, do we have any comments or discussion on the formation of the committee?
Yeah, I want to move that we establish a committee to support the leadership transition of NYOS.
I'll second.
Okay.
I also want to add
Yeah.
the role of the committee and what the committee will support this, write a plan, do next steps, but also everyone should know that the full board is involved in the full process. So our committee will be less than a quorum, and I, as chair, would like to appoint the members of the committee.
So let's amend the motion.
Okay.
Just so, because I watch YouTube videos sometimes, can you take the executive session off just so? Oh, it's not. Thanks, guys. It's me.
Okay, so do we have a motion from Nina to establish a committee to support the leadership transition, including bringing recommendations back to the full board, supporting the transition process, with the chair of the board appointing the members to constitute less than a quorum.
I so moved.
Is there a second? A second.
Okay, there we go. We have Hassan, Nina, all in favor? It's unanimous. The motion passage. Thank you. Members, do we have any agenda items for the next meeting in May?
Do we have, Dr. Rosa, do we have any policies that we need to, okay, so there's probably some policies. Since we just formed the committee, we can have a superintendent transition committee update. And also, I would like to get an update from the
FLC.
FLC, yeah, I think that would be great, since they've met a couple of times already.
Got it.
Yeah, okay. And anything else, of course.
Anything else, members? Oh, that's.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Yes, so our elections for our next board, for the next school year, so that will be up.
And do we have a meet the members between now and then?
We do.
We have a quick Q&A on Thursday.
That's right. Okay. If that's it, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. David? Richard? All in favor? Motion passage unanimous.